Hey guys, what's going on? Time for another YouTube video. It's been a minute. I mean, it's been since July that we got a YouTube video done, and the reason being is we've been in full-on production all summer long. But this is a great time to actually do some tip videos for you, especially if you're interested in learning to catch barracuda down in the Florida Keys. I've been down here for a few weeks now, and I think it's a great opportunity to go through one of the lures I've been using to catch a lot of barracudas. But before I get to that video, do me a favor, click subscribe down below. That makes sure our new videos get into your feed, and also hit get notifications. That'll make sure when we put a new video up, you're gonna get a chance to see it. So, what's this one all about? This one's about catching barracuda, and barracuda are a phenomenal sport fish. You're talking fast, aggressive, acrobatic, high-speed runs, get really big, and they're plentiful, which is great if you're coming down to the Florida Keys or anywhere really there's salt water around the Gulf of Mexico or all the way to the Bahamas, wherever you want to fish them. I've caught them all the way down to Panama. Barracudas love simple moving things, and there's one lure that has always baffled me, and that is the Cuda Tube. This is a Cuda Tube. It's basically a piece of silicone with a weight and a wire and a big nasty treble hook, and they sell a bunch of them in all the tackle shops up and down the Keys. The problem I have with these is they've always been a little sloppy when you're casting them. They always get a little bit sloppy, so it's kind of like they go end over end. They don't have a ton of weight, so I've had to learn to adjust my setup, but I also learned how to make my own, and I want to teach you guys how to do that. It's simple, it's easy, and they're super effective. The first thing you're gonna need, and I bought bulk packs of this, you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at automotive places. This is silicone tubing. This is fuel line that I'm using. So this is a brightly colored fuel line. One thing about barracudas are they love bright colors, and it's also great for you as an angler to be able to see these in the water so you can see them coming and see if something's chasing it. One of my favorite colors down here is this greeny, I guess you call it chartreuse or yellow. The lime green works really well. Orange or red can work really well, but let's concentrate on these. To make these, basically I'm buying a spool that's coiled, and what you will find right out of the gate is when you try to undo it, it's gonna stay curved. How you get rid of that is you cut them into the lengths you want them. These ones are 10 inches long. And then I throw them in boiling water for a little bit. That boiling water is gonna reset the silicone, and you can straighten them out much like you can do to plastic baits. The other things you're gonna need braided wire, okay? So this is Malin. This is a 90-pound test braided wire, stainless steel wire. You're gonna need small egg sinkers, and that's gonna keep that forward weight on them. You're also gonna need treble hooks, and by treble hooks, I don't like going as big as what you see with the store-bought Cuda Tubes. This is a store-bought Cuda Tube. Look at the size of this hook. This is a good size hook. This is a 1/0 VMC 4X, 4 times strong O'Shaughnessy treble hook. It's the one hook I rely on for all kinds of hard pulling fish. And then you will also need a barrel swivel or a ball bearing swivel, depending how fancy you want to go. It doesn't have to be super fancy. The last piece would be the crimps, which I'm using aluminum crimps, and a set of crimpers. Okay, so outside of that, we can make this Cuda Tube, and I'm gonna walk you through how I do it. First things first, we're gonna take some of this wire, and I'm gonna take, because the tube's gonna be 10 inches long, I'm gonna cut this wire about 14 to 16 inches so that I have space to do my crimps. Quick snip there. Okay, so now I've got my wire. What I want to do is get my crimps ready, get my sleeves ready, get everything that I'm going to need. So I need 2 aluminum crimps, and I like using aluminum because they don't rust. They're also soft, they're easy to crimp. So I'm going to hold one on my lap. So what you do is you basically take that wire, make sure your end is cut nice and clean so it's not frayed, and you're going to slip the crimp over the wire. And then you're gonna grab your treble hook, which I have right here, and you're gonna put that over the wire, and then you're gonna pull a bunch out, double it over, and put the wire back inside the crimp. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna leave mine out just a hair, maybe less than 1/4 inch, and then you can pull that wire tight and make a loop that you find is acceptable for what you're doing. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little freedom in that hook. And then I'm gonna take my crimps and use the smaller setting, I'm gonna squeeze it twice. Once on each side. You're gonna check it to see if it's sliding. Let me just check this right now. Still sliding a little, and that is telling me I need to squeeze it a little bit harder. And there. Perfect. So that crimp is done. If you want extra security, you could put 2 crimps and have a space in between them, and that'll make sure nothing's gonna slip, but I've never had one of these slip. Your next move is to take your surgical tubing or your silicone or your gas line. But what I do is I take a good pair of scissors and I cut an angle just on the end of it. And then I'll take those same scissors, and I'll show you how I do this. I cut a line basically up the slit about 1 inch long. And what that's gonna do is allow me to pull that hook head into the surgical tubing. So I'm gonna slide the surgical tubing up. And now I can take this, and you can see here, I could slide that into the surgical tubing, and it creates a little bit of a kick out on that surgical tubing, and that's gonna help get you a little bit of roll in that Cuda tube. Now, pretty basic, but you need a little bit of weight to keep the nose down. You wanna find egg sinkers that have the hole in the center of them. I've got some here. And depending if you're fishing super shallow, I would use only 1 egg sinker. If you're fishing a little deeper and you want to get it down or trolling with this Cuda tube, you may want to add a larger egg sinker. I want one that's going to fit inside the surgical tubing. So you slip it over your wire, you drop it down just like that, and what you do is you basically just push that into, I try to get it about halfway into the surgical tubing to hold it in place, just like that. So now I've got my hook that's crimped on, I've got my 90-pound wire, I have the egg sinker, and I've got my gas line or my silicone tubing. Now I'm gonna put on my top crimp. So the same thing, you grab that crimp again, slip that over the ring, over the wire, let it fall down. I'm gonna grab my barrel swivel, so that's your barrel swivel. You wanna make sure your barrel swivel is high pound test. You know, at least 60 or 80 pound test or 100 pound test. You're gonna grab that, double your line over, just like I did on the hook. And I'm gonna bring that all the way down, just to the point where I want a little bit of room in between, but that looks really good. Take your crimps, same thing. 2 crimps, nice and strong. And then you're gonna clip this wire here. There it is. That is your Cuda tube. This is gonna catch you a ton of Barracuda, and I know it looks dumb. I said the same thing. I couldn't believe when all other things wouldn't work. This bait is my follow-up bait, and it always works for Cudas. The big problem when you're throwing Cuda tubes, if you're casting like I am, is the fact that they don't go very far. They're not super heavy. So what I've done is I've actually adjusted my setup to match that I'm throwing these lighter baits, and I've really changed away from what traditionally in saltwater people use for Barracuda, which is heavier rods and reels and bigger reels and heavier line. This is my setup that I've been using, and you can see, I'll show you this Cuda tube. We filmed yesterday, and I mean, this thing is, look at this. You want to talk about getting eaten? Still holding together, but it is absolutely annihilated. We caught a bunch of fish on this while we were filming. My setup is completely different. What I've gone with is, this is a Shimano Talavera inshore rod. This is a 7-foot medium heavy. Because it's an inshore rod, it's really not that heavy. It's got a nice soft tip to it, and I'll show you that. You see right here on this rod, the tip is very fast, which is gonna help with casting accuracy, but it's also soft. So when a Barracuda goes to bite this, it's not gonna pull it away from him. The other thing I've changed to is I've gone to a 5,000 size Shimano Stratic. I don't go to those big, I used to fish 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 size reels for Barracuda, but you really don't need to. This little reel here, a 5,000 size Stratic, has 24 pounds of drag. And then if you're adding Power Pro braid like I have here, you can really get away with going by lighter weights. This is 20-pound Power Pro. You can run 30, 20, 15, or 10, it doesn't really matter. because the breaking strength of this stuff is so much above what you have to worry about with most Barracuda. On the end of that, I've got a fluorocarbon leader, and I'm running, this is a Sunline Saltimate 80 pound, 100% fluorocarbon leader. The reason I use the leader is because when that fish comes around the boat and I've got him hooked, I want to wrap my hand around something to kind of guide him, to take the hook out of him or to pick him up. I don't want to do that around braided line. Braided line has very, very small diameter and it will slice through your hand. So having a thick fluorocarbon like this 80 pound test really goes a long way. And I'll show you my connection knot here. I use an FG knot. You can see it here if I put my hand there. Very small, you can cast it through your guides, not a problem. So that's simply 20 pound Power Pro Super 8 Slick V2 to an 80 pound leader. And then that is tied directly to that barrel swivel where you've got the egg sinker. Now this one, I had an extra egg sinker on it because I was moving it super fast and I wanted it to stay under the water. That's the setup, guys. And if you watch the tips on all these videos, there's tons of ways to catch them. You can troll at high speeds, 4, 6, 7, 8 knots for them around structure. You can fish drop-offs, you can fish shallow grass, you can fish rock piles out in the middle of the water. Barracudas are everywhere. And if you target them with simple gear like this, you're gonna catch more the next time you come down. Well, there you have it, guys. That's a quick tip video on making your own Cuda tubes to catch more Barracudas in the Florida Keys and everywhere else in the world. If you could do me a favor, click subscribe down below. Also hit the get notifications. That'll make sure our new videos get into your feed. I hope you guys are all having fun. I hope you're all staying safe. Most importantly, I hope everybody's catching some fish. We'll talk to you next time.